Are you on good weekend?
I'm good, yeah, very good. Yeah, it's a good start to Monday morning.
It is, yeah. I'm not going to lie, I'm just a little bit wired because I stayed up far too late watching American football.
Did you stay up? You did it week one?
Well, like I go to bed and then I'm just watching it on the phone, which is the worst of all experiences because you can't even put the sound up. And like you should just be downstairs watching it properly.
And what are you doing? Are you watching Red Zone at that point? Are you picking a specific game?
I might have found a stream of the Raiders game or the 49ers game.
Well, there's no question that Red Zone is the most dangerous invention in humanity ever.
It is without doubt the best TV experience in sport.
Unquestionably, like zero ads. Once you make a decision at 6 p.m. on a Sunday night, I'm going to turn on Sky Sports Mix, whatever channel you end up watching Red Zone on, you've given up your Sunday evening. It's gone, it's done. Next thing you blink and it's Monday.
It's funny because the games are great, obviously, to flick through, but once Sky added Red Zone to their, like, everybody gets that, right?
The free-to-air channel, yeah.
It's like, what? This is like, they've just given the best stuff away for, it completely validates getting that Sky package.
Yeah, completely. And to be honest with you, I didn't Red Zone it last night because, for the aforementioned reason that
you wanted to go to bed.
I kind of wanted to go to bed before midnight, before 11 p.m. because you do get sucked into the 9 p.m. games once you get onto Red Zone as well. So I avoided it last night, catching up this morning on everything that happened. And like we're going to chat to Mike Carlson a little bit later on, but really, the best NFL story and the best sports story of the entire weekend was not on the pitch whatsoever. The Antonio Brown saga has been the most sensational thing I've ever seen. From every single layer of the story up until its bizarre conclusion on Saturday night, it's just been the perfect chaotic American sports story.
I can't remember anything like it, really. So people who don't know, Antonio Brown was the best wide receiver in football. He's got like a 6-year stretch. His last 6-year stretch is the greatest 6-year stretch of any receiver in the history of the game in terms of, I think it's yards. Like, he's not the greatest receiver ever, but he's like in the conversation, certainly over the last
Number one pick in fantasy every year.
And fell out with his team last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and refused to play in the last day of the season when they still had a chance of making the playoffs. And then was traded in the summer for like way cheaper than you would expect, 2 picks, a 3rd round and a 5th round pick, to the Raiders, who are a complete mess, who are leaving Oakland to go to Vegas and who have Hollywood's head coach in John Gruden, who's got a 10-year, $100 million contract, and so therefore felt secure enough to sign Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown arrived for training camp in a hot air balloon. On his first day at work, he arrived in a hot air balloon. Later on, he went over to. Later on, it emerged that he'd been in Paris and had walked into a cryotherapy chamber with nothing on his feet, and so had a frostbite. Had a proper, like, I've climbed Mount Everest with no shoes on frostbite, which basically froze off the bottom layer of skin on his feet. And while that was all getting fixed, he was having a fight with the NFL about the helmet that he was using, to the point where he was talking about retirement. Then a helmet company sponsored him to the tune of, I don't know, a couple of $1 million to wear their helmet. So it all worked out. That bit all worked out. In the meantime, the Raiders were like, here, listen, come on, come to training. Stop all this bollocks and come to training. And he was like, yeah, okay, I will. And then he did come to training, and then he didn't come to training and missed a walkthrough ahead of a game. And then the Raiders fined him, and he put the letter on Instagram, which is something he's done before. I don't know if you remember this. He was in the locker room at the Steelers in the middle of last season, and he went on Facebook Live while the coach, Mike Tomlin, in one of the non-media sections. So the coach was actually literally going around giving out to everybody, and he's like, "Oh, look at coach! Look what he's doing," on Facebook Live, like streaming.
I did not know about that.
Yeah. So there's a bit of a track record there, and then because of the fight with the money. Because of the fine, he has a fight with the GM. And at that stage, it looks like they're going to suspend him. But then the Raiders say, look, we're not going to suspend him. He's going to play on Monday. This is all going to be over. And you think, okay, grand, that's it. It's over. But then he releases a video on YouTube of a call that he's taped, which apparently in California is completely illegal. You can't tape a phone call in California and broadcast it.
Is it legal anywhere?
Yeah, I think in like Nevada.
Okay. So he was future Raiders law.
Exactly.
Fighting.
Yeah, that was the one wrinkle in that didn't work. And then suddenly in that afterward, he's like, "Oh, release me, Raiders," and the Raiders just released him. That was it, which meant that. He loses $30 million, it seems, immediately, and the Raiders lose the right to have him. What they could have done was force him not to play for anybody. They could have just put him on a didn't show up to practice list, and that would have been him gone for the season. which would have punished him, not cost them any money, and
not hand an AFC rival one of the best players in the league.
3 hours later, he's on the Patriots, last year's Super Bowl champions, the Evil Empire.
Which was absolutely. I hadn't followed it intricately. Was it a shock? Because it was a shock to me to see. Oh, he's signed for the Patriots. It was like Bill Belichick all along had been the puppet master in all of this. He was the guy on the phone to Antonio Brown saying, "Don't wear your shoes in the cryotherapy chamber. Make sure you record that conversation you have with John Gruden. Put a fancy Moonlight soundtrack on it and make it cinematic as possible."
It was a brilliantly edited piece of content.
Yeah, it was like hairs on the back of your neck sort of stuff. It was
Why can't we edit content like that?
It was truly brilliant. It's the best sports story of the year so far, and nothing will come close, even by the insane standards of the NFL and American sports people.
The Patriots were playing the Steelers last night, and they just missed the 4 p.m. deadline on Saturday to get him signed, to allow him to suit up last night, which would have been absolutely amazing, because the Patriots completely annihilated the Steelers last night. Even without him, it was a 30-point victory. So it turns out the New England Patriots, who are already the best team in football, got much better at the weekend. So maybe there's no point in watching the NFL this year, because it's going to be a cakewalk for them.
No, there will be other crazy stories though. Which you kind of watch the NFL ironically, even if you know who's going to win, and you can always get a good deal of comedy with just the amount of games and the amount of stuff that happens every Sunday night.
It was class yesterday. Loads of great stuff happening. Record attendance yesterday in Croke Park for the Camogie finals. 3 finals. Obviously, Kerry won the junior.
Yeah. Kerry won the junior yesterday, beating Limerick in that their first junior title. Amazing win for them. Pretty much the entire team from one club as well, which is a fantastic story. And as we can see on screen there, 24,730 people at the final.
Westmeath won the intermediate in a fairly dramatic fashion with a huge comeback, and I think their manager talked his way into the end of year highlights as well with you're not going to get a Jim Gavin for me. And then Galway held off Kilkenny in the senior, which means devastation for Kilkenny. You just can't get it done at the moment. Former Galway star Aisling Connolly is going to join us a little bit later on to go through yesterday's action. I'm playing this video now? Yeah, okay. So after Galway's win over Kilkenny, their captain Sarah Dervin spoke to Maura Tracy yesterday.
We knew, like, if we upped the work rate, what we did against Cork, that we would be in a serious challenge. Serious chance. We knew Kilkenny were going to bring it, and it was up to us to match it and more. And thankfully, each and every one of them girls, they died with their boots on. They were absolutely fantastic, and it's just, as I said, a dream come true.
What was the difference between you and Kilkenny, do you think, today? Because obviously, if you look at you all on paper, you're all as good as each other.
Yeah, our management have been absolutely unbelievable. They have put so much belief into us. It's just unreal. And the work rate, the dedication, the stuff they do behind the scenes came out there today from us, and we cannot thank them enough for all the work they've done. It's just been amazing, and it's just paid off. So
that's Sarah Dervin there of the successful Galway Camogie team. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. I want to talk a little bit about rugby. Obviously, Alan Quinlan's going to join us around about 8:38 this morning. It's 7:40 now, by the way. If you need to be getting out the door, or if you've got plenty of time before you're getting out the door this morning, then fair play to you. But obviously the World Cup is now properly on our radar. We're 2 weeks away from our first game against Scotland. We're going to pick that team for you around about 8 o'clock this morning. But not everybody's going to be able to make it out on time. The English team are having a bit of trouble with the weather.
Yeah, that was a story I saw yesterday. England, Australia, I think as well. They're both due to leave today, or were due to leave last night. And obviously, you've got a typhoon hitting Japan at the moment, which is putting paid to that. A pretty serious one. Like, I mean, last year, I think Osaka got its worst typhoon-like condition for 25 years. So, you know,
they hit every year at the same time, like
around this time of year, it's typhoon. I can't quite remember. Was this a big deal when Japan was announced as a host nation or not? See, typhoon facts, like storm cutting 900,000 homes in Japan at the moment. So 100 flights cancelled, 1 million households without power in the country. So it's going to hit the South Coast, it's going to hit Tokyo, going to hit Shizuoka, where Ireland are playing their second game against Japan. But you'd imagine it's going to clear up in time for the tournament. Like, obviously it's not looking good at the moment. Yeah. And in terms of actual teams' preparations, it's going to obviously have a significant impact, because if you're planning to get out there today and train today and get to your base today, your logistical plans are going to be in trouble, and you don't know how long this thing's going to last. And you also don't know what's going to follow up this weather as well if you're in the middle of typhoon season. So
when are you going out?
Wednesday.
Right. It'll be gone by Wednesday, won't it?
I hope so. Well, if I can't get out, the team can't get out there going the same day as well. So.
All right, you going the same flight?
No, not.
You sit up the front with the players. In those big seats.
Yeah, the big seats.
The bed, the flat bed. Right. Wow, that's how nice that. Jesus.
Yeah, it's all about who you know, not what you know.
Who's signing off on those expenses?
Nobody. Forward signatures, I think, is the way forward.
Before we go any further, we've had a present. You had a.
Oh yeah.
The Owen security came up with like this huge box for Eoin at the weekend, on Friday rather, and you better tell everybody what this is.
So we've been told that the background behind me is dull and that they're sick of seeing the same things behind my head every morning. I think it was specifically Johnny, who runs the Long Hall pub in New York, who was in studio with Kieran Donaghy a couple of weeks ago.
Johnny Kennedy, yeah.
Yeah, so he said he'd send in a gift for behind the desk, and there we go. We've got it there, left to right. We've got Ger Power, Paddy O'Shea, and Eoin the Bomber Liston. It's an epic print, really. It's designed by Chris O'Sullivan. You can get him on Instagram at Chris O'Sullivan Design. He does tons of other prints, GA, non-GA related. They're absolutely class. Check him out on Instagram to see the stuff he's done. This is unreal.
It is.
This is very, very cool. I think
colours are amazing.
Tomas O'Shea is another owner of one of these prints as well. I think there's only a limited amount of them that exist, and one of them, I'm proud to say, exists in the Off the Ball studio now. So we can put this up behind me for my last 2 days here, and hopefully it'll stay up until the replay.
You fall victim to the typhoon.
Yeah, it will. Hopefully it'll stay here until the replay, and afterwards, of course, when
who are you going to bequeath it to, and everything else?
When the 5 in a row has been stopped and crushed, this can stay up here for as long as Kerry are All-Ireland champions. It can remain on this place behind me. That's going to fall there, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on. The worst bit of DIY that I've ever seen. Right, here's what's coming up on the show for you this morning. I'm going to do the sports pages now. A couple of minutes late, 7:42 at the moment. Ireland's Rugby World Cup 15. We'll pick that. The reaction to yesterday's Galway Camogie victory. We'll do that around about 8:10 this morning. Derek McGrath is going to join us to talk about the Electric Ireland minor star team. Ireland-Wales with Alan Quillen around about 8:40. Sports news coming your way at 9:15 this morning. Use the hashtag OTB AM to get in touch with us, and we'll take you to the papers now. Sports Monday. There you go. It's Galway are triumphant, but Camogie is also a winner. And this is the notion that the game was good and there was a big crowd there, so nearly 25,000. Schmidt nervous as main event looms large. Yeah, nervous. I finish in 2 months' time and it's so important to me personally, and I can't let that be part of the equation. It's still very much all about getting the very best out of those 31 men who will be looking to get the very best out of themselves. And that interdependence we have in all aspects of the game was problem solved after losing the first 2 throws. So this is Best and Schmidt saying that they eventually got the line out right. We'll get Quinny's analysis of that a little bit later on. And yeah, so that was it really.
The Irish Daily Star this morning says, let's get job done. Mick determines to avoid repeating rivals Tbilisi woe. So it's been another night really where we're saying thank you very much, Georgia. Thank you for getting that job done against Denmark last night. Something that's, I guess, Stephen Kelly was saying here on Friday morning, that this fixture on Sunday is something to watch. It's always something to watch when a team goes to Tbilisi. The thing is now Ireland need to go there and win. And if they manage to not get beaten in the rest of their games, they will be going to the Euros. Schmidt, 6 pain can be cup gain. So Joe Schmidt is saying that Ireland's 6 Nations pain could be the secret to success this year's World Cup. We've got glory for the Galway girls, and Donaghy, O'Brien can halt Jack's gallop. A lot of All-Ireland football final replay coverage already on this Monday morning. I guess with no Premier League and stuff over the weekend, there's a few pages going spare.
So the back page of the London Times route, let me carry on. This is after the Ashes were retained by Australia with another test to go, chance for them to actually win it. And then an interesting story from Alex Lowe, Deputy Rugby Correspondent. England squad would receive almost 7 million in match fees and bonuses, more than 200 grand a man if they can win the World Cup. Not bad, is it? For
not bad, is right.
Work.
Would England winning the World Cup this time be the most insufferable sporting success we've seen? Just because I would say Eddie Jones is a bit more insufferable than Clive Woodward would have been at the time. Like, I'm sure 2003 would be up there as well. It wasn't great. It wasn't an amazing moment, but this particular...
like that England team deserved to win the World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat Eddie Jones, Australia, in the final. But, I don't know, they were 2 great teams playing nice... Well, I don't know. They did play a nice brand of rugby.
Great teams can be insufferable again as well. I just
find them insufferable. I found the All Blacks, who won the first World Cup, fairly insufferable. The second team, the one who just won the last one, they were a much nicer bunch. But they had to do a lot of things to win that one. The head of the referees suddenly being from New Zealand and understanding, okay, this is how we're going to rule the game from now on. Our style of play is going to be the dominant one that works. Not conceding penalties when there was 15 of them given away against France in the final, and then we're the best team in the world now. We deserve to win it. Well, did you? Really? Were you?
Who would you rather see the World Cup go to, Wales or England?
England.
Had to choose England. Really, yeah?
Oh, yeah. It is, isn't it? We can leave this. We can leave this to 8 o'clock.
I'm not quite sure about that. Back page of the Irish Independent. I just really cannot get behind that idea at all. Back page of the Irish Independent is tribal dance. Kilkenny leads brave Galway as attacking approach pays dividends in thrilling final. Galway didn't just win the All-Ireland, says Eamon Sweeney. They did their game a huge service. I think there's a total of 3 goals in the previous 4 All-Irelands combined, and Galway obviously had that many before half-time yesterday. Klein tackles the hard questions then. Cian Tracy analyses the locks display to examine why Schmidt made contentious call, and I enjoyed every single minute. Declan Kidney has been in conversation with Rory O'Connor.
At the back of the game, Matthew Said talking about our Cadbury's Off the Ball Roadshow the other night, about how Roy Keane is correct. Ferguson's success shouldn't shield him from criticism. Worth digging out if you want that this morning. And then just an interesting point here from Tony Cascarino. Better than Neymar. Raheem Sterling is a greater attacking threat than the Brazilian icon, says Tony Cascarino.
Oh. That is a hot take, and it's not exactly that outrageous, I don't think.
All of a sudden you're like, whoa.
You're definitely considering it.
You know, I mean, today, maybe. The body of evidence so far in their careers, you would definitely say Neymar's just a touch ahead, but not much, is he?
And the gap is certainly closing. Like, Sterling has started the season brilliantly. He was absolutely outstanding last season. He is playing for a club that have to actually fight for their domestic title, something that is going to hamper Neymar's legacy currently if he manages to stay in his current predicament. And he's more of a likeable guy than Neymar as well, so that will help his legacy as well when it comes to these sort of conversations. Not that it should matter. So if Neymar wants to win this battle, this mini battle, not that he cares what Tony Cascarino has to say, probably needs to get out of France ASAP and get back to playing at a very high level to actually fight for domestic titles rather than walk to Ligue 1 every year.
Do you think Neymar's press clipping service are delivering this to him this morning going, ooh, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the Cascarino on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
You can just hear...
I cannot tell a lie, Neymar, but it ain't you.
You just hear...
ripping up trees from Manchester City at the minute. His name's Raheem Sterling. Neymar, you need to get your shit together, basically.
You just hear Neymar thumping his table. Can't believe Cass had that to say about me this morning.
Cass, you as well. The Irish Examiner this morning, roaring success, glory for Galway and record-breaking day for Camogie. That's a crowd of 25,000. It's great that momentum is now behind them. Obviously, it helps when the Dubs are in the women's football. And then features on Brogan. You're right. There is stuff in all the papers about the game next weekend.
I guess one less day of build-up as well, since it's on the Saturday.
Maybe, yeah. So John Fogarty's picked his all-stars, and yeah, it's just. Are you ready for it?
No, I don't think
the build-up.
I'm ready for the build-up. You're in a constant cycle. The replay would never get as much hype as, say, the first game, except for perhaps this year, except for the fact that actually there's an underdog here who actually believe they can win now the second time, and a bunch of supporters who are actually now going to Croke Park expecting a performance, not actually hoping for a performance. So I think it's different to other replays for sure, and I think that the whole country will be glued again. I would be surprised if it dipped below the previous viewership figures. Back page of the Irish Daily Mail is mixed boost. McCarthy joy as Danes draw with Georgia. You've also got a picture of Rebecca Henley there celebrating her All-Ireland win yesterday. And Joe Schmidt is saying Ireland needs semi-final spot in Japan. Naturally targeting a win in the World Cup quarter-final, because what's the point otherwise if you don't want to go one step further?
Is that all we're looking for, yeah?
I think it will be a good World Cup if Ireland got to the World Cup semi-final, yeah. I think you'd have to say so. I mean, shattering that glass ceiling would be a pretty big deal for Ireland. The thing is, you look at what the fixture is. If you manage to get past one of the All Blacks or the Springboks, then you're faced with England, and we would probably have you'd have South Africa, you'd have New Zealand, and you'd have England all in that one kind of level at the moment. And if you beat one of the other two from the Southern Hemisphere, you probably expect that you could beat England as well. So there might be disappointment if they do lose that semi-final. But no, I think if they get to a semi-final, it's, yeah, job well done.
No, no. That's
I think so.
We've just completely accidentally stopped trying to win the competition.
But it wouldn't be trying to win it, and it wouldn't be like a heroic victory. I think when the dust settles and, okay, 2 months down the line, it's like, right, was that World Cup a good thing or not? It's like, well, he beat the Springboks or New Zealand in a World Cup quarter-final.
Yeah, and then we somehow didn't go any further. No. You're
They were
missing the
beat
whole
to the
point.
point. Of course, it would be disappointing that losing a World Cup semi-final, but in the long term.
That's why I was a little bit worried when I saw Schmidt say that. We can come back to this a little bit later. All right, so 7:51 this morning. The long way round. Ireland versus Bulgaria. James to make best of Mick Shane reaction. James Collins is happy to play the long game. L capitalised, so you know that they're talking about Shane Long. In his bid for Ireland stardom after jumping ahead of Shane Long in the pecking order. And then Danes blank is a warning. Mick McCarthy says Georgia's draw with Denmark changes nothing. In a big boost for Ireland, the Danes squandered the chance to replace them at the top of Group D. And then they also have a report about Joe Schmidt's plan to stun the world by reaching a semi-final, then going, oh yeah, that's it, we're done, we're finished. Let's go, we're home.
Back page of the Herald is Danes open door. Mac calls on Ireland to take advantage of slip-up. You've got John Egan as well, who was asked about the replay this Saturday, and he says Kingdom can rule. Plenty needle in this showdown, says Frank Roach, and Dubs can show class, says Paul Curran.
There's been no campaign. Neither you or your Dublin media equivalents have waged a campaign. What's going on? Why are you playing the pipes of peace?
Just waiting in the long grass.
It's too late now. The grass is getting cut.
No, it's we're going for an ambush campaign this time, rather than a long 3-week build-up campaign.
Saturday morning, you've got a big set move unveiled all the way from Osaka.
Yeah, Ty Kennelly's come back from Australia again. That'll be it.
To play.
Yeah.
Right, The Guardian, back page of The Guardian, ashes to ashes. It's a good headline in fairness. Australia retained Earn despite England's brave rearguard.
Yeah, and it's that story on the front page of the Telegraph sports section. Outfought, outthought, outclassed. Australia retain ashes as England wilt. Root vows to stay on as captain.
The Irish Daily Mirror, for me, is do not get carried away. Mick, Georgia did us a favour, but they could end our hopes as well. Yes, they could. I mean, would you back against Georgia beating Ireland?
No, definitely not. Beating Ireland, yeah, you probably would, but getting the same result that they got against Denmark, against Ireland, no, you would not bet against that whatsoever. It is the definition of a tough place to go.
We need a home win. We need a home win against Denmark, really. We can't do that now. So, we needed a home win.
No, against Denmark, we can't.
We drew 1-1 there. Yeah, okay.
Denmark at home is the one. Like, obviously, you go to Switzerland and you're in big danger of actually losing that game.
Yeah, more than likely.
That is a huge thing. Like, it's a really tricky conclusion that Ireland's
sort of favourites, right, at this stage?
Yeah, they would be with Ireland coming to that. Like, I mean, but the Switzerland's big missed opportunity was the Denmark game. I do wonder in hindsight if we'll actually look at that and say, God, it would actually have been a much better story for us at Switzerland actually beating Denmark that day, and that catastrophic draw that they suffered against the Danes actually might be a bit of a disaster for Ireland as well. Like, only time will tell, but if we go to Switzerland and don't get beaten, and then we draw our other 2 games as well, then that will be something we look back on with a bit of regret.
MJ Mull says, I'm in Tokyo at the moment, thanks to you boys and Heineken. It was a strange sensation waking up at 4 a.m. this morning to the hotel gently swaying.
Oh.
Kevin Callan, top of the morning. Morning, lads, says Sean Mannigan, and Philip Brady says good morning. They're all being very polite in the YouTube comments. It's very nice, you lads.
Very good morning to you.
Yeah, indeed. The Irish news for you this morning. German scalp, the only focus. Davis puts results way above records. So it's Northern Ireland. And then I can't see the pictures. It's Rory, is it? In the watching brief? It is Rory Gallagher, yeah. At one of the Derry Club games. It's going to be an interesting experiment. No matter what happens, it's going to be an interesting experiment now. There's
another one who was just saying that also in the Irish news they have a line that Rory Began scored a goal from play in the Monaghan Club Championship.
I think it was the 5th goal for Scotstown. It was certainly, I saw it on Twitter. It was like, I don't know if it was the one he just scored, but certainly they'd scored 5 goals at that point, so they were, is that showboating?
Yeah, completely, but absolutely fair play to him. If you can't... if you're Rory Began and you don't showboat, then no goalkeeper can showboat.
It's true, in fairness. You can get the very latest on offtheball.com, of course. We'll keep you abreast of everything that's happening in the world. Rafa Nadal won his 19th Grand Slam title and another US Open late last night. So a big win for Rafa. He's one behind Roger Federer now.
Yeah.
That makes him, like, the greatest tennis player of all time if he overtakes him?
Well, like, we were having a conversation earlier in the summer about Federer versus Djokovic as the GOAT conversation. Like, Nadal does that. Like, next season is now very, very important in terms of who actually takes the slams between Nadal and Federer. And it is ridiculous that we were having that conversation in the year 2020. Like, that is the conversation that should have been kind of reaching its conclusion 10 years ago. maybe 7 or 8 years ago, but now we're moving to another decade, and yet it'll still be Nadal against Federer.
In the 20s. Wow, the roaring 20s. All right, it is 7:56 a.m. You're watching OTB AM this morning. You're very welcome along. We're delighted to have you. If you're watching us on YouTube, on Twitter, or indeed on Facebook, then fair play to you. You can also listen to us and go about your day, just like a radio show or indeed a radio station. OTB Sports Radio is available on the Go Loud app, which you can get in the Play Store, or you can get on the App Store as well. Right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with some Joe Schmidt, and we'll be back talking rugby after this.